Hey, my good friend, Sam Haymart, and you're watching Test Driven TV. Today, we're test driving the 2025 Nissan Sentra, and this is a mid-level SV with a few options on it, so it's actually pretty nicely equipped. So we're gonna have a good look at it inside and out. We're gonna take it for a drive, and then I'm gonna tell you what I really think. Okay, my friends, let's talk about the car that we have here. Now, I have to tell you, it's been a little while since I've gotten a car from Nissan to test, and so I want to thank them for sending this over. 2025 Nissan Sentra. This is an SV mid-grade model, and it does have the premium package on it. So that puts our price as tested at $27,000 and some change. Note that the Sentra does start out down around $21,500, but let's talk about the outside. First of all, this is a design that's essentially been the same overall for the past few years. They did do an update last year, which gave us new design language on the front, a little bit more of a subtle look, a little bit more sophisticated than the old V-Motion grille. I'll tell you, I kind of like the old V-Motion grille designs that this and other Nissans have had. They're just sort of moving on and doing other things. Coming around the corner, this has 17-inch alloy wheels on it, and these are part of that premium package, a wheel upgrade and a size upgrade, both on the wheel and the tire. And look at the color on this. This is a really brilliant metallic red that's really lighting up in the sun quite nicely today. Up on the roof, part of that packaging is a power sunroof, very nice. As we look at the rear three-quarter view, you can see a few things I kind of want to point out. Right there on the rear pillar, you'll see a big black piece of trim that separates the roof visually from the lower half, called floating roof by Nissan. It's just kind of a neat little detail that differentiates this car stylistically from a lot of its peers. And looking at the hindquarter, just a nice, uncomplicated, simple design. The payoff for stepping up to the premium package is really on the interior. Would you just look at this? This is very rich and thick. It's a lot of a dessert. This beautiful tan leather, quilted leather in the seats with a lot of nice stitching and accents, and this nice contrasting color scheme in here just really looks way above its price. It's all about stepping up to the premium package. If you go without it, you're going to be in a little bit more of a plain Jane black plastic environment, but this is the one we're in, so this is the one we're going to talk about. It is a cabin that I think is really made of some relatively good quality plastics. It's got soft trim on the console, on the door panels where your arms lay, where your hands touch, and most of the switch gear and all of the driver controls in here feel of pretty good quality. Nissan's got this down. Now, when it comes to these seats, I found them to be pretty comfortable this week. For the driver, they are power. For the passenger, they are manual. They are heated, but not ventilated. There is a heated steering wheel here too. That steering wheel is leather covered. Ahead of the driver is a standard Nissan instrument cluster. It looks very familiar in most of their vehicles. 2 analog dials and a digital center screen that you can customize with the information that you want. Over here on the center stack, on this one is a 8-inch screen with hard controls below it for the HVAC, 3 nice big round vents, and then down in the center console, a nice big cubby to lay your phone. There's charging ports there and places to connect, and then a traditional gear lever, which I absolutely love in any car. Big cup holders off to the side. The start button is right down here on the center console. It took some getting used to finding it there. Storage inside the center console. Now this might be best in class. I would say you could put at least 2 square tissue boxes in here and maybe even fit a rectangular one down in next to them. This is one of the largest console storage boxes in this class, period. So that's very impressive. That's always nice. It just is. Above me is the sunroof that we talked about. It has a manually opening shade. Sunroof is power. I have to say I was pleasantly surprised when I sat back here in the rear seat of the Sentra, because compact sedans, not always the most comfortable place to be. And I gotta tell you that even though we're sitting down in a smaller car, And that's because of a couple different reasons. First of all, the shape and the bucket of these seats holds you, so it's not a flat bench that you're sort of perched on. Now, while the seating position is a little bit low, the amount of leg room and the overall position, the shape of this seat, really does work given the circumstances. You can see I've got plenty of space. These seats are set for my height, about 5'9" with the boots I'm wearing, and I've got about 2 inches ahead of my knees. Headroom, about 2 to 3 inches above my head. So it's not cramped. Amenities back here, not the highest in the business. Now, yes, we have these beautiful leather seats and they are comfortable, but there are no vents on the back of the console, which I always look for living here in Arizona. I kind of expect that, but in this class, a lot of the competitors, it's the same way. There is a charging port, however, for a USB. There is a fold-down center armrest with cup holders. And yes, you can fold the seat down in a 60-40 split so that you can get large items in through from the trunk. The trunk is a pretty good size, and I was also pleasantly surprised at the quality of the lining. It looks and feels of quality, which can't be said for all of the competitors here. This is an interior I'm very, very impressed with. And yes, we paid for it with a premium package, but even without it, the level of quality, fit, and finish in here is quite good. The level of storage and versatility in here is quite good. Is it missing a couple of features even at this price? Yes, there are a few things that even some of the competitors right now offer, in some ways even standard, that aren't available here at any price. There are some things here you're not going to find in a competitor, and there's some things here that competitors offer that you can't get here. It's kind of one of those things, but I'm very impressed. It's a nice interior. It feels well above its price. It gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. The infotainment system here is the one area of this car where this car's design is starting to show its age. Most of the competitors have been upgrading and going to larger screens and offering more features. This is a pretty basic system, although it is the top system in the Sentra. 8-inch screen, touch screen. There are hard controls on it, volume and tuning, which I love. There are also jump buttons down on the bottom of it, hard controls, so that you don't have to go through all the menu trees using the touch screen. Very convenient, very easy to use, and this does have the Bose audio system back end, which means it sounds good. Now, when it comes to feature content, it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but it's not wireless here. It has Bluetooth connectivity. It does not have navigation. So there are a few things it has which are great. There are a few things that it doesn't have, which some of the competitors are now offering standard equipment. And the screen, even though visibility is okay, it is not one of the larger screens that you're going to find in this class anymore. The one thing it does have that is really awesome, I think, is the 360-degree surround view monitor. Not many cars in this class even offer that, so it's kind of a pleasant surprise. And it's that this is one of the cars that when I'm in a big expensive SUV and I'm going, that's missing. This should have a 360-degree view monitor, right? And I point to the fact that I'm in a car that costs less than $30,000 and this has it. Why does not the $63,000 Toyota Land Cruiser have it, right? So nice feature to have. Navigating around and using the menus is pretty easy because it is pretty simple. It is missing a lot of the controls and the back end that you find on some of the competitors. A lot of those are in the instrument cluster instead. So this is a system that's pretty impressive on some fronts and not quite up to date on others. It gets 4 out of 5 stars. All right, my good friends, finally time to take a drive. And so what we have under the hood here is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, the standard and only engine that you can get in the Nissan Sentra. It has 149 horsepower and 146 pound-feet of torque. It's rated by the EPA at 30 miles per gallon city, 40 miles per gallon highway, and 34 combined. The main thing about this powertrain that I find most notable in its driving behavior is the fact that it does have a continuously variable transmission, which doesn't have real gears that shift. So when you put your foot into it, it does have simulated shifts that make you feel and maybe give you the sound of shifts, but that's not really what's happening. That actually reacted pretty well. They've made the software work with the actual machinery so that you feel a little bit more of a normal driving situation than most, especially the way they used to be. Even though it may not offer a more traditional driving experience with regard to the transmission, it does have adequate power. 149 horsepower in this class for a base engine is class average, give or take. There are some that offer more, some less. So power's fine. Efficiency, now in my week with it, I got about 33 mpg, which is pretty close to what the EPA says. And keep in mind, I have the air conditioner on 100% of the time because, well, it's hot here in Phoenix, Arizona, even in October as we're getting midway through the month. So when it comes to scoring this powertrain, what I will tell you is that I do find that it sort of does lag behind some of the competitors in terms of refinement, noise. It is a little bit loud, and the continuously variable transmission, though they've tuned it to be a little bit closer to a traditional driving experience, still isn't the best. This powertrain gets 3.5 out of 5 stars. When it comes to ride, drive, and handling, this is a pretty standard level of machinery here. I've got McPherson struts in the front, and this does, however, have a multi-link rear suspension, which is an upgrade over what some of the competitors offer out there, which is a plain old twist beam. What I do like about this chassis is it has the traditional Nissan driving DNA, which has a little bit of sportiness. It has a feeling of precision for the money, and it generally feels of quality. Steering feel is some of the better in the class, I think. And when it comes to road noise, it is a little bit higher on the scale. The comfort of the ride is pretty good, although you do feel a little bit more of the road in this particular car because of its lower profile tires than you might in a standard S or an SV. But it's a joy to drive. It's got a nice pleasant feel, a nice pleasant demeanor, and it feels of quality. This chassis gets 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, so the last part of the conversation we're going to have today is, how does it compete? Is it worth the money? I did point out at the beginning, this does start out at about $21,500 for the base model. Here we're at $27,000 and some change, and we're getting pretty close to the most you can spend on Sentra. Now, competition, Toyota Corolla, Honda Civic, Hyundai, Kia. There are a lot of competitors out there in this segment, although quite a few less than used to be. We don't have the American brands anymore. But one of the things all of those other vehicles offer that this does not is the option of a hybrid powertrain. I think that's important. That's what I would like to have. And so if you're looking for a hybrid, this does not offer it. The other thing here is the basic powertrain that this does have, a continuously variable transmission, not the most competitive thing in the market. Some people are fine with them, but if you're more of a discerning driver, sometimes discerning drivers aren't really appreciative of the way they operate. But that aside, when we look at build quality, features for the money, things like that, we're right in the middle of the ballpark in terms of what all the other competitors offer. There are a few things that they offer standard, such as LED headlights, for example, and some of them also offer standard four-wheel disc brakes. Now this one has that because we're on an upper trim grade, but if you bought the base model, you'd be getting drums at the back. So there's some things like that that play into how I look at the value here. I put that at 4 out of 5 stars. When you put that in with everything we've talked about, we have a total review score of 4 out of 5 stars. Pretty good, a nice solid choice in the market. And the fact of the matter is Nissan has, just like Toyota and Honda, a lot of loyal customers out there, and this continues to offer a solid, affordable car for the money. So there you go. If you like what we do, you can see our latest video right there. Better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel right down there. Either way, stay tuned.